Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Pond, awards editor at TheWrap, and we're happy to have you here for today's award season screening series presentation of The Endless Trench, which is Spain's entry in this year's Oscar race for Best International Feature Film. We're going to start by showing the trailer to the movie, and then we'll go straight into a conversation with the film's directors. To the audience, please participate in the live chat during the Q&A, and also we will be taking audience questions at the end, so please drop those in the chat area as well. Before I introduce the directors, here's the trailer for The Endless Trench.
Se están diciendo que ha hecho cosas horribles.
¿Quién está diciendo eso?
No le ha hecho daño nunca a nadie como para estar en ninguna lista. Tú nos conoces. Tú podrías decir que ha sido una equivocación y que...
La equivocación la cometió él cuando se puso a quemar lo que no debía, ¿no?
Prométeme que no vas a salir si yo no estoy aquí.
Te lo juro. Yo lo que estoy es harto. Porque si tengo que protegerlo a usted, lo mínimo que me merezco es saber quién es y qué es lo que ha hecho.
No estás ni como hombre, ni como padre, ni como marido, ni como nada. Estoy yo sola.
Lleváis toda la vida metiéndome miedo y yo no puedo más.
Eres muy valiente, Genio. Hasta para no haberte quitado la vida has sido valiente.
Fue idea tuya que me metiera ahí.
Welcome back. It's my pleasure to introduce directors Aitor Arregi, John Garano, and Jose Mari Goenaga. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. So I have to ask, how does it work with three directors? I know you guys have worked together for a while, but this is the first movie you've actually co-directed with the three of you, right?
Yeah, it's true. We've been working together almost for 20 years now, which is quite much time. And actually, we've been directing until now, like co-directing with two directors. And this is the first time that we are directing three of us. And this is possible because we share the same vision. It is important for us to have, obviously, the same vision. And if we don't have this vision, we construct it. So it is very important for us to work in the pre-production before the shooting, make everything clear, that each of us, we know what we have to do, what is important for the movie, and that's the way we work. Then obviously in the shooting, we divide the functions or the, how you call it?
The roles.
The roles, that's it, the roles. And then again, back in the post-production, we are again together discussing, and this is how we do it.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, does it change significantly when it's three instead of two, or are you pretty much doing the same thing that you've been doing with the two?
Maybe we are much more. We are all the day arguing, and but it's longer. But at the same time, I think the process is quite the same because we have been working like this since a lot of years. So it's at least for me, it's not very different.
Yeah, and in the shooting it was quite similar because in this case the shooting was divided in two parts because we needed the main actor Antonio de la Torre to get fat, so we had to stop. And then in the first part of the shooting, we were Aitor and me in the stage. I mean, and John was with the editing team. So, and in the second part, we were John and me in the shooting, and Aitor was with the editing team. So we were together in the pre-production, we were together in the post-production, but in the shooting, at the same time, we only were two in the set.
Okay. So why this story? What led you to want to tell this story? That starts in the Spanish Civil War and goes on for decades.
Jose Mari.
Yeah, okay. Well, I will explain it because I was with Luis Overdejo in the screenplay too. The idea came from a documentary we watched in the San Sebastian Film Festival in 2012, I think, almost 9 years ago. And this documentary told us the story of different topos, which are, topo is in Spanish, mole, the animal. So as topo are known these people that after the civil war in Spain, they decided to hide themselves because they were afraid of being killed or being jailed. And they thought that maybe it was going to be a short imprisonment, but finally this imprisonment in some cases lasts more than 30 years. So this documentary told about these stories, different stories about different men. And we thought that there was an interesting fiction film. We thought, okay, it can be interesting for us to ask ourselves how would be to be hidden for 30 years and how we could live this without going out. So one of our main challenges when we started to work in this film was how to explain everything, how to explain how the world is changing outside, but without going out from the hole or from the house. So that was the challenge.
And also, I would add, if you don't mind, that for us from the very beginning, we thought that it was very interesting. It was like an excuse to talk about something which is so eternal and universal as fear, because this film is mainly about fear and how there could be a transformation in this fear. No, at the beginning, our main character is feeling this fear like something physical, because if he gets out of his house, he's going to be shot or killed by someone. No, but then with the years, this is getting something different in his self. It's something that is blocking him. It's almost like it's something more psychological than physical. It is fear to yourself, fear for freedom. And you are not a human being as any other because of that, no? And we like that too, to talk about how fear can change your life.
Right. I mean, did you know anything about the before you saw the documentary? Did you know about the moles and that aspect of Spanish history?
Well, it has been published a book called Los Topos in 1977, and it was quite a bestseller there. But nowadays, they are not very known. These figures, they are not very known. And of course, there have been films in Spain about this kind of characters. But if you ask in the street, it's not very known, and so that's why you had to read the book. This book, another book that was also published about a very famous topo in Malaga, and yes, then we figured out our own topo, which combines different elements on other stories of topos.
Mm-hmm. Right. So was your main character based on any specific people?
Yeah, he is inspired in many topos. I mean, there was one who was like, how do you say, alcalde? It's
Mayor.
like the mayor of a village in the south of Spain, and Manuel Cortés, and he's, I think that one of the most famous topos, and we took some things about him and other things about other topos, but our idea from the very beginning was to create a fictional topo. We didn't want to be attached or to have to be loyal to one real character. We wanted to be free to take the story through the path we were interested in. So we create our own topo, but it is created with different characteristics of different topos.
Right. Was it always clear to you that the point of view was going to be with the character, that you weren't going to move outside of him for the entire time?
Yeah, that was very clear from the beginning. Actually, when Jose Mari had this idea of doing this film, one of the things he had clear, and we were agree with him, that we have to be with him, that it had to be like his point of view. And there were like two things that were important in that sense. One was that, and the other one was that it had to be for the 33 years, because we have already seen the topos in some other films, but mainly as a secondary characters, or they're like for a few years or whatever. And in that case, we want the film to be like these 30 years, 33 actually, because these three are plus. It's like it's not that easy to be at home like for 3 years. I mean, so the thing is that we want to have this experience in with him. And also because we thought that it could be interesting to talk about the Spanish Civil War and the Spanish post-Civil War from the inside of a house, from this hall. So we wanted to talk about the macro history, but from the micro point of view. And so, yes, that was a decision we was taken from the very beginning.
Yeah, I would add a third reason, that is that this allowed us to play with this story cinematographically. I mean, we could play with the off camera, with the sound. For us, the design of the sound, the things that are not seen, but we can notice them, and all these things were very important to create this story. And we thought that they were very cinematographical elements. So that was very important for us too.
Mm-hmm. Right. I would think at the same time, it gives you real challenges as directors, because basically, you're stuck in confined spaces with this character for most of the film. I mean, how does that affect what you're doing, as directors?
Well, you think that makes the film special. You hope for that at least. And you think that it gives to the characters also, if you do the job right, emotional depth, cinematic feeling also. And it was very natural to think that was the right way. Sometimes you rational it, but and it's very good to be that way, because you feel more comfortable and more sure about it. But at the same time, it's a kind of feeling, and you felt right from the beginning with that point of view, and that that path, no? And yes.
But at the same time, you are asking, Steve, I think, about the locations and how to the limitation of the location. No,
yeah.
I mean, we were lucky because in the second house, for the hall where he stays a long time, we had three. How do you? I think that maybe you can explain it better, John or Aitor.
The halls, like three halls, like the places where he's hidden. I don't know. This corridor we have in the second house is like the let's call it the hall, no?
Right.
Yeah, we had like three halls, because this was not a real house. This was made in it was created by us. So we created three halls. One that was integrated in the rest of the house, but then we had another hall that was out from the house, and we could control there, taking out some walls to put the camera and to. So it was easier for us to shoot it, and so the main part of the film is in this second house. So we had a huge control of the space. just to put the camera where we wanted to put.
But also, I think maybe hole is also a hiding place could be too, no? I don't know, this hiding place, like we have like in 3, yeah. But also, I think that like as directors, sometimes to have these limitations it's something which is good too, because it makes you think, you have to rethink the things like, you know, like in that way that, okay, we can't do it that, it is, sometimes it was, for us, it would be natural to go out of the house and tell this story, which would help us to explain something, no? But you have to do it in some other way, and that was really interesting for us, because we have to be all the time thinking, and how can we do it in a way that is not going to be repetitive, that we are not all the time doing the same thing, that we are showing kind of an evolution with the characters, with the story and everything. So sometimes, I don't know, those limitations are good, no? I still remember this phenomenon of the Danish filmmakers Dogma 95, no? That they have so many limitations, and I think that maybe they were not some of them like perfect movies, but they always have something, or some of them, no? And then you have all those directors doing like really great films without these limitations. So I don't know, it is something which is always, you know, could be really good for filmmakers to have at least some limitations.
Yeah.
I think that there was a huge limitation in this way of shooting it and these spaces for the main actor, for Antonio de la Torre, because he's a huge part of the film. He's looking through a hole or through the wall. So it was very difficult for him sometimes to feel that what he's watching outside actually is happening. I mean, because sometimes we were shooting his face and he only was watching a light outside. And Antonio de la Torre is a very organical actor. He needs to believe what he's acting. So we had to try different tricks to convince him that actually he was watching that thing that he really didn't watch. So
it was difficult also for the actress, for Belén Cuesta, because main part of his job was just acting outside the image, and you had to convince her, you have to talk to her about this. That apart from that, the audience would be with her because of the psychology and the emotion of the character. But yeah, it was a challenge for everyone.
Yeah, right. So did you get tired of going back to the same sets day after day?
Kind of, yeah.
I think that you were very tired at the end of the first part of the shooting because the film was shot quite chronologically. So we started in the south of Spain, in Andalusia, in real locations, and then we went to this plateau. I don't know, how do you say it?
A set,
an artificial set. So we spent a lot of time in this part.
It's kind of you feel in the first part of the movie where we are shooting it, you are like it's more action, and the house is also, it's smaller, but at the same time is, I don't know, you are in Andalusia, maybe the energy, I don't know, but it's a kind of time goes through and time goes on, and you feel like you are in a hole, like Antonio and Belén, which is good at the same time because you can feel what they are feeling. But yeah, it was a hard time.
Right. I think it's sort of interesting that the movie is out at a time when, all of us are stuck in our homes now.
Yeah. Actually, it happened to us that the film was theatrically released in Spain in October 2019, and then it was in Netflix during the confinement here. So many people watch it during the confinement, So that was funny because you have like many people talking in the social medias, in Twitter, Facebook, and wherever they were talking about this thing that, wow, we are like the main characters of The Endless Strange. We are living the same situation, and somehow it is the same situation because you can't get out of your house, but there are big differences too, no? Because one of them is obviously that we spent only weeks, months, and in our character spent 33 years, which is a big difference.
Yeah.
Another big difference is that the people who was outside, who was in the street, was there to help us, no, during the confinement. Let's say like the doctors, hospitals, police, whatever. And in the case of Higinio and Rosa, our main characters, it was just the opposite. It was people that they wanted to kill him. Or kill them, no? So that is also, it's also a big difference. But at the same time, it is also true that when, at least me, when I was at the beginning of this pandemic, I was like, really, what's going on here? No, I don't know what's going on outside there. And you are like thinking a lot and having this kind of fear and somehow this is similar to Higinio too, no? Because they don't know what's going on outside those walls. And for us, in a different level, but it was kind of the same, no? It's that suddenly it's like our life is different. It's not like it was before. And this is exactly the same for Higinio, no? His life was like normal, but from one point when they lost the war, it's not the same way. And now he's in risk. And we are also in risk right now in the street. So yeah, there are some, although there are very different, there are different situations, there are also some similarities. And I think it's normal people to feel that they are in a kind of a same situation. Because when you are watching a film, or at least as a filmmaker, what you want is the audience to be in the film, like experience the same as the actors. I mean the characters, no. So this is a good thing for us too, no? That they can feel it. So.
Yeah. So what were the keys to conveying, this 33-year passage of time from just a couple locations? I mean, obviously it's organized into chapters, and there's a lot of time between each chapter in some cases. I mean, what were the keys for you in covering that span of time?
For us, the key, I would say that the main key was to develop two very strong main characters. I mean, the psychological level of the film was very important for us because in the first version of the script, I remember that maybe it was quite repetitive. I mean, we had like some structures that were repeating all the time. Okay, someone comes from outside, and then there's a dangerous thing, and then the main character Higinio is scared, and then something happens, and we go back to the point zero. I don't know to explain it. We were repeating like the same structure in the whole film. So as we developed the characters and their psychology, I think that we found the ways to make it like more different each time. So we think that this film is about fear, as John said, but at the same time, it's a story of a relationship. It's a story of a couple. It's a marriage story. So we have two characters that they've been married like a few months ago when we started the film, and then we see how is their life, the life of this marriage through these 33 years, and we can see that some of their problems maybe they are not so far from the problems of other marriages. But they are at the same time in a very specific situation. So for us, the relationship between husband and wife, between Higinio and Rosa, was very important to create how do you say, the dynamics of this film, and not to feel that, okay, we are doing all the time the same thing in the same location. So I think that the psychology of the main characters give this dynamic.
Yeah, because for us it's always very important what is happening in the the real life, but it's also more important sometimes what is happening in your mind, no, psychologically, and that is what it happens in this movie. That they have like many things are happening during these 30 years. We say that they are like windows in their life. No, we open this window at the beginning. Then when the war is finished, then when the second wall is finished, whatever. No, we have like different windows, very important windows in their lives, and at the same time, is what Jose Mari was saying, that we need to see how this relationship is changing and how they are changing. Because if he knew at the beginning he's a very enthusiastic, like really with a really clear ideas. He's like a fighter, let's say it. And at the end, this house is eating him in one sense. No, he's different at the end. He's a little bit passive. He's not anymore like this guy who was at the beginning of the movie. And on the contrary, we have Rosa, his wife, who is doing the opposite way, no, in one sense, that she's growing up. She's the one that, thanks to her, we have life in this family, no. so that was also important to see, and this is generating a conflict between them, because this is you don't want to see the other one like falling down and changing, but at the same time is still the one you love. So yeah.
And at the same time, there's another level that is for us the allegorical level. I mean, for us, this film is like a kind of I don't know if it's like a cover myth. It's a cover myth. It's the Plato's. I don't know how to explain it. It's a kind of metaphor. I mean, so we try to make people to feel like empathy with this situation, although they haven't been hidden in a house for 33 years. I think that everybody can feel fear in some points of their lives, no? And for us, it was we were talking about the fear of taking a decision, the fear of break up with your couple, the fear of leaving your job. So these kind of fears at the end is the same as the fear to cross the door of your house. So we try to make the audience identify with these people through these universal fears.
I don't know if I saw it in a proper way, but it's the cave myth. It's Greek. Plato, the Greek philosophers. This cave. That's it. I don't know. I check it in the internet, so that's why.
Thank you.
How to say it in English? I mean, the cave myth. Now we know it.
Yeah.
Got it. I mean, I think it's fascinating because it is about what's happening in the relationship, what's happening in his head. And we don't, as someone who is not, completely acquainted with the politics of the Spanish Civil War, that's not irrelevant, but we don't get into, well, he was a Republican or this is what Franco was doing. I mean, it's like the politics and exactly where he stands and all of that is less important than what's going on in his head once he's in hiding.
Yeah, it's important, but at the same time you need a context. You need what's going to know at least the main titles of what's going on. But as John and Jose Mari said, the core ideas, the ideas that links with all the audience, we hope, in the world, are dealing with fear and living a love story and all the ups and downs of that. And the psychology of the characters. We think that maybe we can feel more comfortable if we are in that moving with that elements, because You can't explain, and you don't want to explain, because this is not a thesis, a historical thesis. You don't want to explain what happened with every detail. You just want to tell a story, a common people story.
Yeah, and at the same time, you finally see that most of the conflicts all around the world are not that different. I mean, you can feel that, okay, maybe, yeah, you can go inside and explain everything, as Aitor said, but at the end, we are talking about people that maybe don't agree between them, and there's a conflict, and this starts to develop in different ways. So I think that this is something that we can see in every country, and we hope that it's easy to understand, not maybe everything, but just the minimum to identify with these people.
Yeah. So when you were making it, when you were planning it, were you thinking of it being an international story more than just a Spanish story?
This is something which is always complicated to answer, because yes, you always think in universal stories. This is true, but you never know how it's going to be, because sometimes you have some inputs, in your mind that you say maybe this is something that you think that is going to be universal, and then it's not, And the opposite. I still remember when we did our first fiction movie that was a love story between two elderly women, and that was located in the Basque Country, where we are from. This is in the north of Spain, and it was very a Basque story, for us. And we thought that was not going to travel around. This film it was not going to travel, because it was difficult to understand out of the Basque Country. And for our surprise, the film was selected in the Karlovy Vary Film Festival in the Czech Republic. And when we were showing the movie there, and everybody was telling us that, wow, this is a very Czech movie. Then we were showing the movie in Germany, and everybody was telling us that this is very German movie. And then you go to Russia, and they say the same thing. So you say, okay, we are not that different as we thought, And in that case, with this movie, it is true that you are thinking that still this is politics, but it is deep in one sense in the Spanish politics, but it's also not that deep in a sense that it's easy to understand that you have like two sides. We are in each of them in one band, and how they are dealing with the conflict, and how the conflicts are generated, and how each of us is only seeing in our own ideas. Now, it's like I have my reasons to act in the way that I'm acting, but you are not seeing to the other one who is in exactly the same situation, but from his point of view, And that was the idea of putting the movie in the point of view of Eugenio, and you have offside the neighbor. But the neighbor, he thinks that he has his own ideas and he's doing right. This idea is there, And then obviously when you are doing the film, you think that there are also some information that could be interesting for the universal audience. As for example, something that I think that maybe not many people know is that for Republicans, the people who lost the war, the Spanish Civil War, won the Allies won the Second World War. That was the moment of a big hope, thinking that, okay, now that Hitler is done, they will come after Franco, And it happened that way, actually, But that moment of hope, I think this is something that maybe it can be connected with the universal audiences. And then to see, for example, this thing of Eisenhower, which was kind of a hero in the Second World War, and then he's shaking hands with, like 10 years later, he's shaking hands with Franco, And Eugenio, our character, is listening that into the radio. It was his hope in 1945, and 10 years later is the opposite, And This kind of things that maybe it's not only for Spanish audience, but also universal audiences. And yeah, but at the end is what we were telling too, that it's also a love story, it's a political story, and those are fear, the concept of fear, that is not local. I think that is universal.
Yeah. So how do you work with your actors? Do you guys do a lot of rehearsals beforehand, or do you tend to shoot quickly? How do you work on set?
Well, we do a lot of rehearsal. We read the script before in the pre-production, of course, with the actors, and we try to be sure that everyone is at the same page, that everyone sees the same focus on that character, on that situation, that scene. But at the same time, you don't have to rehearse too much because you have to be kind of fresh to the shooting. And in the shooting, it depends on what the actors want at the same time. For example, as Jose Mari said, Antonio Latorre is very organic. He wants to feel reality. He wants to feel that every take is different. And of course, you have to deliver that to him, because at the same time you see that the result is great. At the same time, for example, Rosa Belén Cuesta, she's from another kind of school, so you have to adapt to what each actor wants, and that happened here, but maybe in another film we work in some kind of another way, and it depends of the shooting.
Yeah, we try to rehearse a lot before, not only for the actors, but for us too, because we can't start to improvise too much in the set, being 2 or 3 directors. So we try to do all this job in the rehearsals. But it's true, as Aitor said, that in this film, we spent a lot of time in the pre-production with the actors, but maybe not so much rehearsing. We did a lot of background job. We used to do like interviews to the characters, to Higinio or Rosa, in different moments of their lives. So sometimes we were with Antonio, with Higinio, and we started an interview like he was in 1955. Okay, Higinio, what are you thinking now about your wife? And what do you think about what is happening in the world? And we talked very much about their characters. And as we said, the film is structured like in different moments. We were like opening these windows in time. So we had to create all this time that we were not seeing on the screen. So we talk very much about all these things that are not in the film with the actors, just for them to have it. And I think that is important in their acting.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it is like this, because sometimes when you have such a good actors, it is sometimes more important that they understand the character than rehearse. Because sometimes it's like, okay, now I get it. I know how he is. And then, of course, you have to be there to direct it, obviously, because it's your job. But you have these actors who are able to give you so much, only knowing how the character is. That is.
Right. Were there any other things that we haven't talked about that were particularly challenging about this film?
I would say the makeup, no? That was one of the, for us was like, obviously when you have this story of 33 years, you have 2 choices. One of them is change the actors, and the other one is to follow with the same actors and spend a lot of time and money in the makeup, no? So we decided to do it the second one, like investing in makeup and doing with the actors, because it was also important for us to see that how the time was getting in their faces. Like we have the same actors doing all the movie, and it was important to see them in all the movie and see that they were getting this transformation. So yeah, that was the idea. But obviously then when you are working with this special makeup, it is also very difficult because you have less hours to shoot. For the actors, it's like they have to spend like 4 or 5 hours every day, like before shooting. And all the time you are like really worried about maybe it doesn't look real, it looks like a fake, and you are all the time with this in your mind. And yeah, this is something that it was for us, it was like the first time, no, and that was probably one of the most difficult things. So,
yeah. And another thing I would say, not maybe difficult but challenging, and yeah, difficult, was to create this. I think that I said something before, but to create this world from outside through the sound. I mean, it was very important for us, the sound design. In the post-production, we had to create all this world, all these people that are moving, talking, and everything around Eugenio, who is in the hiding place. So this was a huge challenge for us, and I think that in our films we always try to work a lot in the sound, but in this one especially, this job was very, very important.
Right. Yeah. Well, before I open this up for audience questions, let me just ask one more thing. I know that you guys recently signed with the company for U.S. management. So do you have your, are you planning to come over here and work in the U.S.?
We have to improve our English for that.
It is a possibility, but no, it's we have many projects, of course, and one of them is in English, and well, it depends on which who is interested on that. But I guess that it's not very near yet, because we have many different projects, and you don't know. We are now developing different projects, and you don't know which is going to be the first. Well, we have one more developed than the others, and it's not in the USA, but who knows in the future.
Yeah, for us, sorry.
No, but this particular one, it is a film in English, and it has to be done in English in New York in the 50s. So it's yeah, it has to be like this. Yeah. That is important. And this is the one we have, but also we are open to some other stories. That suddenly if we have something interesting for us, what is important is always also it's the language it has to be natural. I mean, it's like our first movies were in Basque language because we thought that they had to be in Basque language. And that one, The Endless Trench, is in Spanish because that was set in the south of Spain. And we actually did it in Spain with really a strong accent from Andalusia, which is in the south of Spain. So the language it's a very important thing in our movies. So what we don't want to do, at least now, is a movie in English because to be more international or something like that. It will depend in the story, I think.
Right.
At the same time, I just want to add that, we have seen a lot of American movies. We love American films, so we just kind of you would like to have the chance in the future to, but we are arguing among us about that.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we have a couple of questions from the audience. They're going to put them up on the screen. Yes. There were a lot of psychological issues brought up within the movie. Was it hard to dive into that mindset without personal experience?
Yeah, well, it's a very good question. As I said, we try to to get to these problems Higinio could have or can have through our own experiences. Maybe not, as I said, maybe we have not been hidden for 33 years, but we know what it means to be afraid of breaking up with your couple, to, I don't know, to leave your job, to going out from the closet. I mean, there are many ways to feel fear. So we always try to reach our characters and to reach their problems through our own experience. As John said, for instance, our first fictional film was a love story between two elderly women. We are not elderly, we are not women, but you always try to find the connection with these characters and try to create all the story through these connections.
Right. Okay. I think we've got a couple more. Let's see. What was the most unpredictable thing that happened during filming?
Whoa.
You
You remember something unpredictable, guys?
Unpredictable. Wow. That's a hard question. I don't remember. This is not a very. This movie was once it was the pre-production was done. I mean, during the shooting, there were not too many unpredictable things. Most of all because the main part of the film is in a house that was created by us. So there was a control in this location. And this is something good, but it can be something bad too, because sometimes the best things of a film come from the unpredictable things. So sometimes it's this kind of magic that happens when you don't expect, and then something happens and you say, oh, this is very interesting, let's keep it. But I think that in this film, I can remember some things maybe in other films, but in this film, I don't remember any unpredictable thing.
Yeah, it was very controlled. It was, I don't remember neither. In the previous film, which is from 5 years ago, you remember more things than in this one.
Yeah, there were more unpredictable things for the actors. As we were saying, we sometimes we had to surprise Antonio, the main actor, Higinio, because he asked, he used to ask us to surprise him. So sometimes we used to ask Belén, the actress, to tell him not the dialogues of the film, but other dialogues that maybe were related with his real life. So that was a surprise for him, and we tried to shoot these moments of real reactions. So I think that there were more surprises maybe for the main actor.
Maybe I was thinking that it's not in the shooting, but it's in when we were editing, and then when the film was released. One of them was like none of us knew that we will be like Higinio and Rosa in our home. No, as I said before, that was completely unpredictable. But then we have another situation when we were the film was finished, but still not released. And the film there is like there are like different sections, let's say, and we have these intertitles with a definition. And one of the definition was exhumation, and the next one was Franco, the detective's name. And when we were with the editing, the editing was finished, and we were like with the post-production, coloring, and these kind of things. And suddenly in the news, Spanish media was all the time talking about the exhumation of Franco's bones. So I was like, what happened here? That was completely unpredictable, because suddenly our film was talking about the same thing that all the media was talking. And you have to think that the exhumation of Franco's bones, it's something that it was never in the medias in the last 35 years. so it was something unpredictable. But
yeah, and the other unpredictable thing was the coronavirus, okay, the COVID and this confinement, and then to see how the film has other lectures. I think that in this film there has been more unpredictable things once it has been finished than during the shooting.
Right. Okay. Let's do one more question. Yeah. What has been challenging or rewarding about the award season process? I think you've been in the Oscar race before, right? With a previous film.
Yeah.
With flowers.
Speaking in English, the challenging thing for us, but rewarding at the same time. We have the most challenging thing is just making a picture of what's going on, and for me, and which is the situation and what you can do about being your film more known. And for example, John and Jose Mari stayed with Flowers 5 years ago, and maybe it's I was in the team but at the same time I wasn't. I didn't travel to USA, and so for me maybe it's new. This but at the same time we have the COVID here, so everything has changed, and the situation is very strange that way. So yeah.
I don't know. I think awards are always important to make. I mean, it is important for your ego, but mostly it's important. But it is really important to make the film known. That is the point of this, no? And that's what we want, that people to watch the movie, which is what we really want, no?
Yeah.
And we are trying that. I mean, this is an opportunity to be in the race of the Oscars, but it's always difficult. But you try, and if that helps to people to watch it and to have interest in the film, that will be worthy for us. I mean, that is the most important thing.
Yeah, and then there's I think that is also rewarding regarding just to be in this Oscar race. I mean, I think that for us, as for many people, the Academy Awards and all these award stuff always has been very, I don't know how to say it, magical. I mean, we've been watching the Oscars since we were children, so to be part of this race is just to feel this magic closer. So yeah, maybe it's something silly, but you feel it. I mean, and this is regarding to.
And you can feel it also in the street, because we were like we won some awards before, like in the Spanish Academy Awards and in some others, like the producers here and in the San Sebastian Film Festival or whatever. And everybody is like saying, "Oh, congratulations!" But with the Oscars, it's like suddenly, wow, you are in the race for the Oscars. It's something different. It's another level. It's another step. So yeah, it is also. It's like your neighbor suddenly is coming to you, like talking to you, and this kind of things. Like,
you feel, you knew that, but you feel the strength of the Oscar name. You're like, whoa, Oscar, the Nobel, and what else?
Yeah. Well, congratulations for getting this far, and good luck. Good luck from here. I mean, it's a fascinating and very powerful movie. So thank you for that. For everybody who's watching, thank you for joining us. It was great to have you. Take advantage of our free trial TheWrap Pro to be the first to know about upcoming screenings, because we have a lot of them. And check our screenings page at screenings.thewrap.com. So, gentlemen, thank you